Folks, hello and welcome to Tavern Chat. I'm your host, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR. There's a link at the bottom of the screen. It takes you to Humble Bundle, where they have a Paranoia 25th anniversary bundle. It's a 25th anniversary edition. It's a lot of gaming material, I believe, for like $18. If you've never played Paranoia, it's your chance to read some of the best adventures ever for RPGs, and if you've played it, you can relive it and you can play it again. So this is a great way to support this channel if you like what we do. So now yesterday, I talked about and showed a part of the video from Woods of the Coast, talking about their upcoming book, the original D&D, and how the individual in question, one of the game designers, who apparently was a Pathfinder game designer before he got picked up by WotC, pretty much said that the material from that day would not pass today's proper reviews for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it got me thinking about my gaming groups back in the 80s, right? This is the era we're talking about. And I got to say, I'm in a unique situation because I had some very distinct gaming groups. My first gaming group probably started, was from like 82, first real full gaming group, 82 to 84, 85. That was up in the Poconos. I was spending my summers up there, I was spending weekends up there. And that group was the Pocono Mountains, the Lake Wallenpaupack area regional school district. It was 99% white at the time. So my group was a bunch of white guys and occasionally white girls. If we could get girls to play with us, they were never excluded. We wanted them in the group. There was no gatekeeping, no women allowed. We wanted them to join us. It made it feel like we were having even more fun because we were able to share something with the opposite gender that we often didn't get to share. In senior year of high school, I got the beginnings, the foundings of my New York group. And this was, compared to PA, we had Jews and Gentiles, we had whites, blacks, Asians. We had ages ranging from, I think, 13 to 18. And as we got older, the group was still bringing in younger players. It was a group that formed naturally from connections that we made in high school. And then people brought in their other friends. And we had women in the group, or girls. If you're in your own 20s, I guess you're still boys and girls, right? At least when you're in your 50s and you look back. So that was the gaming group, and the core of that group has stayed together until today. We get together at least once a year to remember our old group and to remember those that we lost on 9/11. So this is the group, the core part of this group still was gaming in 1997. Started in 84, 85. And then we had another group running at the same time at Queens College. From Queens College, we had people that were black, Hispanic, Asian, white, again, Jew and Gentile, all in that group. We were playing on Fridays, and because that was usually the day that we had no course schedule or low course schedule. We would get in about 4 to 6 hours of gaming and have anywhere from generally 8 to 10 players. And sometimes it would rotate, and sometimes it would change who was coming. But it was a very New York City type of group. And I think that some of this that we're looking at it is, I grew up and with a foot in like two locations. the Pocono Mountains and one of the outer boroughs of New York City. So I did see a time, my summers, my weekends, whatever, where, yeah, I was gaming only with white people. And not because white people created the game, it's because that's what was around me. That's what my options were. And when I was gaming in New York, it reflected my interactions with people in high school and in college. And you got to meet everybody because it was and still is a very inclusive, integrated community. So when I see people talk about how the game wasn't inclusive, somebody talking like he's a historian on the game for WotC, and he's saying that there were no women involved from the start, right? One of the major artists for TSR at the time was none other than Darlene, right? Gary's own kids, including his daughters, participated in the playtesting. There were women in these groups. Again, not to the numbers that you see now. In my high school group, my God, we really wanted to get girls involved, and we really wanted to get girls in the group. And occasionally they would game, but it wasn't something that they were, it wasn't the same experience for them as it was for us. Maybe it's because we wanted to play Murder Hobos, and they would have preferred something a bit more, I don't know, intellectual, emotional. Men and women are certainly wired differently, different expectations, right? But we always wanted to bring women into the game. And we did have one or two that were steady-ish, at least in the early days of college. And the college group certainly had women in it, but not to the point that we see it today, which is huge, which is great. But remember, the hobby was just beginning. And yes, it was created by a bunch of males because, I mean, think about it, who really was playing war games back then? It was a male hobby, So you got to look back. You can't just describe it. I'm describing my experience, right? Doesn't mean that that's your experience. Maybe your experience is totally different from mine. It's totally different from the talking head from TSR who talked about it was only like white guys. Your perspective is certainly colored from your own experiences. We know this. All right. So I don't think we've done a proper survey of the gaming community from the players that were around in the late 70s and early and mid 80s and find out how their groups were composed. That would be an interesting survey to collect. Certainly would do a lot more justice to history than saying that it was all these old white guys and, because of that, history was it's barely valid. We wish it wasn't valid, but it's history, so we can't change it. But we could, we'd change those numbers. I would love to see what those actual numbers are. I don't know. I am not set up to do that kind of a survey. Maybe somebody who's more academic inclined can take that torch and run with it. I'd certainly assist as best I can and give it wings, but I'd like to see. I'd like to know. Again, but I'm not conceited enough to believe that my experience, again, 3 distinct gaming groups, and I saw the difference between gaming in the Poconos and gaming in New York City and gaming in college. 3 completely different communities, right? And your gaming groups are going to be based upon the community that you're living in. Just a thought. Just throwing that out there. Because, it would have been a good video. The video was doing a good job, even if the person liked to hear themselves talk. And we all do if we're doing these YouTube videos. But this individual is not the one that is writing the book. That is John Peterson. And I'd like to hear John Peterson talk about the book. because I don't think we're going to have to hear about diversity, equity, and inclusion check marks being done to make sure that this stuff is compliant from 50 years ago, 45 years ago, 40 years ago. In any case, folks, let me know what you think. Let me know how your gaming group was. You know what? We'll do an informal survey in the comments section. Let me know what your gaming group was if you were gaming back in the late 70s, early to mid 80s. How was your gaming group composed? And where were you living? So we have an idea. All right? Throw it out there. All right, folks, on that note, be safe, be well, God bless, roll this dice, roll them well. I'll be back again tomorrow with another video. Wednesday night is a live stream. Thursday, I'm at TotalCon with my lovely wife, Rach. We'll be there through Sunday. So if you're at TotalCon, please come along and say hello. Look forward to seeing you there. All right, folks. God bless. Good night.